Hello and welcome to Just Films and That. This is the podcast where we are going to discuss a film that we think might be underrated, underseen, or we just want to talk about it. I'm the host this week, Josh, and I'm joined as ever by Alice. Alice, how are you?
Very well, as always. Thank you, Josh. And yourself?
Oh, terrible.
Yeah,
no,
I
I'm
thought
fine,
so.
I'm fine.
That state of your face, I was like, he's had a bad one.
I don't even know how we ask each other how we are, because it's never like, no.
No, of course
Awful.
not. We're such chipper little bastards, aren't we?
Yeah, always. I've never, ever been sad. I'm certainly not sad this week because we're joined by two of our favourite other podcasters. We're joined by Neil and Pav from the Top 10 of Anything podcast. How are you both? Are you both well? A warm welcome.
Thank you very much.
We're good. It's nice to be this side of the, not camera, what is it, microphone.
Yes.
Yeah, so it's nice that we're not in control. So do what you want with it.
Ooh, sounds like an invitation.
We are very, very rarely in control, I can tell you that.
Well.
So anyway, as you may or may not know, we always start with a completely random question. Alice, I'll come to you first. Hats, yes or no?
So, quick answer is when it's raining or snowing, yes, but the rest of the time, not really. But I do like looking at a hat. So thank you, Pav.
Yeah, I think we already know your answer, Pav. What's the best hat then? So you go beanie, baseball cap, that little one that spins around.
The fedora. I've got an Indiana Jones fedora I should have worn tonight. If I'd known that was what the question would have been, I would have. I have loads of caps, and it is all due to the fact that I've got no hair. I just like to cover that with the fact that I always like to say, well, I'm a connoisseur of caps and I like wearing caps, but it's not that. It's because I've got no hair on my head and it's nicer to have a cap on or some kind of hat on than to not.
How many caps or hats do you have?
Oh my God. I must have at least 15 caps, I would say.
15.
2 years ago. Yeah, 2 years ago I went to America and I got my Duff cap that I'm wearing now, which has got its own bottle opener. If you look there, where is it? There. No, where am I looking? There. It's got a bottle opener. So you can crack a Duff beer while you're wearing your cap. But I think if I had luscious locks, like you, Alice, if I had hair like
Thank you very much.
I would probably still wear a hat. I probably would. I do like the fact that just what you look like with a cap on.
Very good. Neil, what about you?
I don't mind a hat. I don't think I particularly suit a hat, but I will wear one every now and then. But I do like a hat on an animal. Looks good, you know.
Yeah.
So if you put a hat on,
Neil, you're not allowed to talk like that. The court case is still pending. You're not allowed to talk.
Or for putting hats on animals.
The fact that you like looking at them.
He's barred from every single zoo up and down the country.
I know.
Every single.
I just want to see an elephant wearing a fez. Like, what?
It's hard getting those little caps on those ocelots in the aquarium, but they're manageable.
Yeah.
What about you, Josh? Are you a hat man?
No. The only time I wear a hat is if I'm running and it's cold, like a beanie hat or something like that. But I look bad in most types of hats. I can't wear baseball caps. Can't wear like fedoras. I think, as we've touched a little bit before on the podcast, I've got quite a big head. So when I'm wearing a hat, I sort of look like a power pod wearing a tiny hat on the back of the head.
Josh, I think you're being too harsh on yourself, but that is funny.
I can't wear hats. The most I'll do is like I say, a hat for running, or like if it's really sunny and I'm on the beach and I have to wear not a fedora, but a straw hat or whatever.
But you should try like a top hat.
That's true, actually. I could do a top hat and a cane. Yeah.
Well, let's start with the top hat first. Let's not go all out.
No. Let's go all out. Top hat.
Yeah, it's all or nothing.
Monocle. You've got to have the monocle if you're going to do that.
Basically, the Monopoly man.
A Monopoly man.
So let's move on to talking about this week's film, which is Swiss Army Man from 2016. So spoilers if you've not seen it. Which of you picked it? Why did you pick it? And most importantly, what's it about?
Well, originally I picked it, and then Neil sort of followed because I know that Neil likes the movie. I picked it because I don't know if anybody else has had this experience, apart from, say, with Star Wars or a Marvel movie, where you sit in the cinema and you have a smile on your face for the whole running time of the film. I think when we managed to see a showing in the cinema, and it was one showing at like 3:30 in the afternoon, the only showing of the day, We got in there and watched it, and I'd seen the trailer, loved the music. And there was something about the trailer. I thought, I've got to go and see this because this is weird. This looks like a weird, quirky movie. And I sat there through the whole movie with tears running down my eyes, but with a massive smile on my face. And I can't remember, apart from Star Wars or Marvel movies, the last time that a movie made me feel that way. I don't know, Neil, do you want to give a synopsis apart from the fact that Harry Potter plays a dead man that farts? That's basically all you need to know.
Basically is.
I mean, it's on the poster. It's on the poster.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's basically Dano plays a guy who's attempting suicide after being lost on an island when Harry Potter himself washes up dead, and he becomes friends with the corpse, this flatulating corpse. And that he can manipulate him into doing things, hence the title Swiss Army Man. I just think it's a beautiful film. It touches on mental health. It touches on all those sort of issues really, really well. And like Pav said, with a soundtrack to die for, I still listen to that soundtrack now when I go to sleep. I think it's beautiful. The Jurassic Park one.
Exactly.
But it's a movie that just has, like Pav said, will have you cry in one moment, but laugh, righteously laugh in the next. And I think everybody, the cast member, is so well played in it. Right down to Mary Elizabeth Weinstein, instead, who's she's really good. They're all just so brilliant. And I think it's as far as I can remember, it's one of the last movies we did on our movie show that we used to do, where both of us gave it a full-on 5-star when we talked about it.
Okay. Yeah. High praise indeed. So would you say you've picked this because it's underrated, underseen, or you just wanted to talk about it?
Definitely underseen.
Definitely underseen. I think it's one of those. I mean, again, it's the only movie where I tweeted one of the directors after the movie and thanked him. He never answered back, because obviously, but it was a genuine feeling that I wanted to say thank you for this movie. And I think Neil's right when it comes to like the mental health side of it, and it's just that it's also that feeling of loneliness at the start where Paul Dano he's got nobody. He's obviously been, and also the fact that it starts right at the start, right in the meat of the story. You know, you don't need to know why he's trying to kill himself, although the exposition is on the bits of paper in the water and stuff that he's been on a boat and he crashed, and it's that feeling that he's all alone, so he has nothing else to live for. And then the fact that he sees a washed up dead body, and that is it almost kills him, but that's what stops him. And that whole thing of loneliness and wanting someone to share your time with is, I think, the motif that runs through the whole film. You know, whether it's with Daniel Radcliffe's character or the looking from afar at his, woman that he loves that he doesn't really know or whatever. And it's one of those films as well that you try and explain to somebody what it's about. A little bit like Field of Dreams. I find that with Field of Dreams, you explain to someone, a guy builds a baseball field and loads of dead people come and play on his baseball field. People go, well, what a little crap. I don't want to watch that. But you watch it and it just draws you in. And I love the fact there isn't really a bad guy. I suppose there is, but there isn't really a bad guy. It's all about finding someone that you love or finding a friend and knowing that it doesn't matter about everybody else. It's having that friend that you want to spend time with. And when that gets taken away as well, you realize how much you miss that person.
Yeah. It's like about being, it's sort of about being lonely, isn't it?
Yeah.
But a lot of it is about isolation and being lonely. Like, is that how you two met, or?
Well, one of us washed up flatulating. We weren't washed up, but we were definitely flatulating.
Started a podcast,
It was Neil's erection compass that first got
it. Nearly had his eye out.
And before you know it, we said, let's start a podcast. let's crack on, yeah. Alice, had you seen this one before?
No, I hadn't seen this one before, and I don't actually think I'd ever heard of it either. What about you, Josh?
I'd heard of it, and it had been on my to-watch list for ages, probably since it came out, because I remember quite a bit of buzz about it, because obviously it's quite a strange concept for a film of a guy who becomes friends with a dead body. And I think it was also in that it was 2016, wasn't it? So it's not that long, 5-6 years after Harry Potter finished. And Daniel Radcliffe was doing his Elijah Wood thing of going, I'm not Harry Potter, so I'm going to do a load of films that are the complete opposite of what I'm particularly known for. So I've been wanting to watch it for ages. So I was made up when you picked it because I've been wanting to watch it for a little while and just not got round to it for whatever reason. So, Alice, what did you think? What did you like about it?
There was so much that I liked about this film. So if we're going to start at the beginning, so I love the way that it leaves you asking so many questions and then never really answers them. And that is quite a unique thing to find in a film. And I think this kind of went on going throughout the whole time I felt like this was such a unique viewing experience. I'd never seen anything like it before, and I don't think I'd ever seen anything like it that made me feel the way it did. I thought it was really, really funny at parts, and my two favourite bits are so Paul Dano's character, who is called Hank, so he's sort of led. What's Daniel Radcliffe's character called again? Manny. So he's kind of led Manny to believe that he has left this girlfriend or this wife back in his old life, when he was still alive. And so he dresses up as a female. He sort of finds all this rubbish and all this debris and stuff. So makes like a wig and then puts on a dress and stuff. And he's trying to get Manny to remember what her name is. And he's going, Manny, who am I? Who am I? And he goes, Laura Dern. And I just collapsed laughing because they'd been talking about Jurassic Park obviously before, and like that was the only woman's name that he knew. The other bit was because they played Cotton Eye Joe a lot in this, and there was a moment where they really slow it down and turn it into this like really romantic moving song, and that's playing in the background, and then it becomes the Jurassic Park theme song. And those two moments, and there was quite a lot of funny moments throughout. And then spliced in with this kind of really moving, but then also really absurd story that was going on around you. It was just such an interesting mix of like a survival film, but also a buddy film. And it was a bit art house and it was a bit fantasy as well. And it was just unlike anything I'd ever seen. The acting was phenomenal. Daniel Radcliffe and Paul Dano were amazing. And Daniel Radcliffe has so much to do physically, like trying to look dead. Very often he'd be lying down in these really uncomfortable looking positions. He was all messed up, like his hair was wet. He was all dirty and dead looking. And I feel like that must have been exhausting, like trying to play a dead body. Sounds easy on paper. It's like, oh, can you come and like lie down for an hour and a half? And it's like, but no, actually so much went into it. And then you've got Paul Dano like carrying him and like trying to put him in all these different positions and stuff. So you could tell that they were just working so hard. It was shot beautifully as well. Some of the camera work was brilliant. And a lot of the camera work was the reason sort of for the comedy and for the moving moments and the way that it moved between Manny and Hank and then how it framed them both together. I don't know if you noticed, you might have done, obviously, Pav and Neil, because you love the film so much, but Daniel Radcliffe doesn't blink.
No.
He doesn't blink pretty much through the whole thing. And again, I'm just like, the effort. And I think this is part of, like you were saying before, Josh, him wanting to move away from this idea of, oh, he's just Harry Potter. And he's like, no, actually, I'm a really talented and dedicated actor. And I feel like if you try to imagine anything that was the opposite of Harry Potter, this is kind of it. And he just absolutely nailed it. The way Hank is trying to remind Manny of what being a human is and what human life is by creating like these like sort of sets and these models and things out of debris and out of the rubbish. It was all just it was so funny and absurd and moving and sad, and it just brought all these things together so well. And I feel like it wasn't favouring sort of one genre or one kind of theme over the other, and they all got equal time. But yeah, I just thought it was brilliant, and there was so much to like about it. What about you, Josh? What did you think?
Yeah, I loved it. I really, really enjoyed it. It was so surreal, isn't it? Like you say, it doesn't really have a genre, and I think that's to its strength. It just sort of goes and is a bit of everything, really. It reminded me of things like, if you've ever read or seen any Samuel Beckett plays, that sort of thing, quite surreal, things like Waiting for Godot and other things like that. A lot of surreal and dark comic moments. What I really enjoyed with it was that he does a really good job of creating this sort of scenario and sucking you in, and you're watching it, and then every now and then, it just reminds you what you're actually watching. And you sort of go, oh yeah, there's a bloke talking to a dead body who might be coming back to life, or he's just imagining it all. Like, you don't really know. And you keep getting reminded of that, and it keeps like, it's almost like the director keeps going, look at you, you're a bit weird, this, isn't it? and then straight back into it as well. I think the use of him as a Swiss Army knife, as a Swiss Army man, as the title suggests, is absolutely like some of the things they do with him are so ingenious. Like even it, like I was watching it with my other half, and she was like, "When did he shave?" And I said, "Well, he was running his chin across his mouth, I think, and using his teeth to shave, right? That's like how he shaves." Like different scenarios. Like I think you might have touched on it, the bus scenario where he sets up a whole bus. The prop design on this, I don't think I've ever said it before, but the prop design deserves a real special mention in this, because all the little things that they do, the little things that they build out of essentially rubbish and all that, it looks so good. It looks almost like, I don't want to say like authentic, but that is the word, right? Like it looks like that's actually, if you were going to make a little theatre or a little cinema, there's like little, like you say, I think there's one point there's a little Darth Vader knocking about in there somewhere in the background and stuff. As you say, the cast are very good in it. I mean, there's only really 3 speaking roles, couple more with the odd line, but Paul Dano, however you pronounce it, for me, he is the standout. I mean, he is excellent. I love him. I think he's one of the most underrated actors around. First thing I saw him was like Little Miss Sunshine, and then he's done this and a couple of other things. There Will Be Blood, Ruby Sparks. Can't wait to see him as the Riddler. Think he's going to absolutely smash it. Special mention for Daniel Rackler, actually, because I've always known he's all right at acting, and whether it's the character of Harry Potter or his performance or the script, I don't know. But this is the best thing I've ever seen him in. I've seen him in the odd thing here and there, but he is brilliant in this. And like Alice said, a lot of really physical stuff to do in there. A lot of physical stuff against a lot of really still stuff as well. So even when he's still got a lot to do. But no, I thought there was a lot to like in there. So I'm interested to know, obviously, having watched it again for this, did you see anything else that you particularly enjoyed, or was it just the same old thing that you just loved it?
It's weird because I watched it here on Sunday. I had my iPad here while I was doing some editing, and I thought I'll have it on in the background because I know what happens. And I put it on. The smile came to my face again, and I sat for an hour and a half and just watched it and forgot what I didn't do anything else. But it's what you're saying about Daniel Radcliffe, Josh, is that this was the first movie where I forgot that he used to be Harry Potter.
Yeah.
Whereas every other movie before that, between when he finished being Harry Potter and to this, it was sort of like, oh, it's Harry Potter. Whereas in this movie, I thought it's Daniel Radcliffe. And I think you've got to give him for someone who's that young and's got millions in the bank, you say you've got to give him credit, but he could have very easily looked for the next big role. And maybe like Batman, like Robert Pattinson. I think both of them are very similar in the fact that they haven't done that. They've made movies. They've got money, so they don't need to worry about what kind of movies they make. They're just making the movies they want to make. I don't know if you've seen Guns Akimbo.
I was just about to say, guns stitched to your hands.
Yeah, that's just as mad as this, but he's got that freedom to be able to choose these. I mean, I suppose him being involved means that those movies get made, as opposed to him, if his name's involved, the movie's going to get made, which I'm probably why Swiss Army Man got made. But it reaffirmed what I felt about the movie when I watched it again. Just the fact that it's pure joy. It's not pure joy. It's pure emotion. Because it makes you feel more than just joy. It makes you feel loneliness. It makes you feel alienation. It makes you feel love. It makes you feel sadness. It has one of those kind of like rocky moments at the end where, it looks like nothing's going to happen and you're willing Daniel Radcliffe just to fart one more time. Please, just once more. And then the little look that Paul Dano gives his dad to sort of, it reaffirms his relationship with his dad as well, when you don't really know what's been going on with all that. So yeah, it didn't add anything to my enjoyment of the film. It just reaffirmed it more than anything else.
It always surprises me that these directors, this was their debut feature, because for the work, it is so strong, isn't it? I mean, I don't even know whether they've made anything else since. I really should have Googled that.
I think they have, but I think this is their most successful because they're credited as Daniels. Yeah, they're just both called Daniel, which is a great idea.
Yeah, great idea.
And going back to what you were saying about the Daniel Radcliffe and his performance and everything. There's a great interview he did on Graham Norton where he actually takes the dummy of himself from Swiss Army Man onto the sofa. And it's a fantastic interview. It's really worth watching to show the lifelike. And he's got this ability that he shows you on the Graham Norton show where he can droop his eyes to what you see, and he can fix it like that so it doesn't do him damage. I mean, the rest of us will probably get sort of face freeze or Bell's palsy or something and never move again. But yeah, it's a remarkable performance. Like you said, underrated but remarkable. And Paul Dano I don't think he's ever been bad.
No, I don't think so.
You know, he's one of these actors that just whatever he's given is brilliant at what he does. So yeah, and going back to the film, it's like Pav said, the emotion in it is a beautiful film. Even with the subject matter as it is, it really is a beautiful film. There's just no other way of describing it. And it'll always have pride of place on my Blu-ray collection. Yes, I still have a Blu-ray collection.
Something that I did really like about it is that it does quite a good job at showing you how, I guess, the simplest things can bring you back from the edge. So it starts obviously with Paul Dano's character, Hank, about to kill himself. He's about to hang himself. He's on this little island. He thinks, all is lost and his situation's completely hopeless. And he sees someone wash up on the beach, and there's a split second there where he's back and he's like, oh shit, I don't want to kill myself. And he tries to stop it. Thankfully, he does sort of get himself out of a bit of a jam because he ends up choking a little bit anyway. But it just kind of shows you it would just take one thing. Like, he was so ready to end it all, and there was just 1 millisecond that he had to wait, and then it didn't happen. And I feel like sometimes that can really relate to sort of real life. Because obviously when you're in such a horrendously dark place, you can feel like, wow, this is never going to end. How am I going to survive this? But it can be the difference of a second that brings you back from that. And this seemed to happen throughout. Obviously, when he's making all these props and like making the bus for Manny to sit in, it's all about just look out the window. Is that going to be enough to remind you of what it was like to be alive? Just think about the girl that you like. Just, look at me, Hank in a wig and a dress. Like, is that enough to sort of bring you back from the brink? And I wonder if some of it was a bit to do with that. It's like, obviously, we've got Daniel Radcliffe here who is dead. What are the things that are going to make him feel alive again? And they are all very simple things, but things I think we can all relate to.
Yeah, I agree. I think another interesting point is that, like you've just said about those simple things, is that not that there isn't really, I suppose, I don't know if you call it a twist, but when you get that realization towards the end that that the girl on his phone is not, in fact, his partner or his wife, his girlfriend, whatever it is, it's a girl that he likes. I think they play it impeccably well because they don't do that thing of, he's a weird sort of stalker. He's really lonely. And he just says to her, I just thought you looked happy, and I took a picture of you because, and basically, I fancied you, I think is the point, isn't it? But it isn't, like we recently did 1 hour photo. It's not that sort of thing, and it's not playing it for what he has done is probably a little towards the wrong end of the thing to
sketchy,
do. Yeah, but it's not. He isn't stalking her or anything like that.
Well, and he turned up in her garden by accident as well. And it was just so because he happened to turn up in that garden that she saw the photo, that made it creepy. But he wasn't intending to do that. So I didn't really get super stalkerish vibes off him. But yeah, maybe just a little bit inappropriate.
Also, Hank Thompson, great name for a character.
Yeah. John Everyman.
No, I mean what I mean is he's called Hank Thompson because of Castaway, right? Tom Hanks, Hank Thompson.
Oh, I didn't even put two and two together.
That's got to be it, right? That's got to be it, hasn't it?
I never thought of that.
Yeah,
but it is. I mean, looking at it is the same thing as having Wilson, isn't it? He's talking to Wilson,
but he's a farting corpse.
He's a farting corpse,
and it's a lot better movie than Castaway.
There's nothing wrong with Castaway.
Oh man, it drives me to boredom at the end.
Okay, so we'll move on to talking then about things that we might change about the film or things that we perhaps didn't like. Alice, is there anything for you?
So, obviously there's a lot of farting and a lot of kind of gross things. So he's got all the water that's like collected inside him, and then Paul Dano or Hank starts drinking it. There was a lot of erection /dick/wanking jokes, which is all fine. But the farting, I could just do without some of the farting, I think. But I appreciate that was quite an important part of what was going on. I just don't like farts. Like, I appreciate that people have to do it. I do it all the time. Guilty.
What?
But I don't like, I know, right? Women fart. But I don't.
Blown.
Yeah. But like, I don't like when I hear farts, when I hear flatulence and stuff, I just think about bad smells. And then I'm just like, oh, and I was trying to eat a pizza when I was watching it. And I was like, this is putting me off my pizza. And all the spit water coming out of his mouth. But I wouldn't change it. And that's not even a criticism of it. I guess it's just something that I didn't like as much as the other elements of the film. But really, that's it. Like, I can't criticize the script, the performance, the story, the themes, the way it looked, like the camera work. It was just a brilliant, unique film. I'm saying unique to me. It's not similar to many films that I have seen. So I can't say for sure if in the greater film landscape if it's unique. But I just always really, really enjoy it when I'm seeing something that I feel like I've never seen before. And that's what I felt like with this.
Alice, do you not enjoy a pull my finger joke then?
Not really. Not really.
Have you be out of business?
I'm just so aware that the smell you're smelling is poo particles that has come out of someone's anus.
Well,
and I picture them going up my nose.
That's a good place to end on, poo particles coming out of
Isn't
your
that
anus.
the band of Dave Grohl's in?
Poo particles.
Yeah, I felt like that was Jennifer Aniston giving us the science bit then when she said in the poo particles coming out of your anus. I never realised that's what a fart was. Now I hate them. Before I used to love them. But now you've said that that's what they actually are.
So what about you, chaps, then? Is there anything, I mean, obviously you very much love this film, but having watched it again, is there anything you didn't like or change? Neil, I'll come to you first.
I'm going to be 100% honest. Not at the moment. No, it's still a film that to me is almost perfection. I say almost perfection because they're probably, I don't know, off the top of my head, I can't think of anything. And watching it, I just purely enjoyed it. So I don't very often give a 5-star to a movie, but I did on that one. So no, I will say no, there's nothing I'll change on that.
Fair enough. Pav?
I think Alice touched on it a little bit earlier on. Just the convenience of the fact that the one back garden that they come into is the back garden of the girl on the phone seemed very coincidental. Of all the places,
I was going to say, sorry, Pav, but isn't that the whole movie that could be relayed into some sort of metaphor, and the metaphor is that, yeah. And I think,
of course it could, but I'm just saying, and I'm nitpicking because I'm like Neil. It's a 5 out of 5 movie for me.
Sometimes you just find stuff, don't you?
Yeah, and to be honest, it's a very small nitpick. All of the farts completely relay and take over everything that's bad in the movie, and there isn't that much bad in the movie. So, and there is nothing funnier than a fart sound. There just isn't anything funnier. The best written joke by Mel Brooks or any of those sort of geniuses, Monty Python, whatever, is nothing compared to a tiny little toot. It's just, you cannot compare it. Just forget about the poo particles coming out of the anus. That phrase is going to be burned into my brain now.
Poo particles.
Soz, guys.
I'm going to have that tattooed on my arm.
Poo particles.
Poo particles coming out of your anus. I think will be the next, or a name of a song. It should be a song at least.
Oh, yeah. Beautiful, man. What about you, Josh? Was there anything you would change or you didn't like?
Not loads. I did really enjoy it. I would say I didn't mind the farting. I thought there were elements of it where it was just a little bit repetitive for me at points. Again, that's just, I might be nitpicking, but there was a few times when the farting got a little repetitive, and I did think there was a couple, there might have been one too many scenes of them doing stuff in a sort of slowed down, slow motion-y way, set to sort of choric choir music sort of thing. So I felt that was a little bit repetitive. And I did like the music, but I thought they overused little bits of it. I thought perhaps they could have done with more music with less vocals at points, but it didn't ruin it for me. Again, sometimes you're just finding stuff, and maybe I found little bit elements of that a little bit over the repetitive. But no, overall, I think we're all agreed. Absolutely well worth a watch. Okay, well, let's move on then to talking about the critical reception.
Oh boy, here we go. The critics.
Does anyone know how it did, or does anyone who doesn't know before we find out want to have a guess?
I'll guess.
Go on.
Do you two know, Neil and Pav?
No, I'm not sure.
I'm not sure, to be perfectly
I
honest.
know a couple of the film mags like Total Film and Empire gave it good reviews, and that's about it as far as I got.
Yeah.
So I do reckon it probably did quite well, because I think there was enough going on in there that it could have an impact on many, many people. And I think when you sort of get over the hurdle of it being a bit, of it raising a lot of questions and of it being quite absurd, you kind of just flow into it and you kind of get into the groove of it. So I would like to think it did quite well. If I was rating it, like say 4.5 out of 5, or, I'd go well into the 8s with it, I reckon it got like a 7.8/78%.
Okay. Anyone else want to have a crack, or should we go with
I'll
that?
go 85. I'll just go 85%.
85.
There you go.
Ooh,
I reckon
yeah.
critically it would have been up there with the high 80s, maybe low 90s. But
Wow.
like with the general public, I don't think it would have been such a big. The people that would have seen it, I think, would have given it a good score. But I don't think many people would have seen it, because, like I say, we had one showing to be able to go and see it, like in a theater, in a cinema like 20 miles away. I don't think it was very accessible for people. Obviously now it's been on, I think it was on Netflix or Amazon, and you can stream it. I think it's a little bit different, but yeah, I think it's the sort of thing I think critics would love. I really do.
Well, let's find out. So, at the time of recording on IMDb, it gets 7 out of 10. Bang on 7 out of 10.
Ooh.
On Rotten Tomatoes, the audience give it 72%, and the critics give it 72%. So that's got to be, for me, the closest of the three scores altogether. In terms of box office, we'll come back to the critical reception. According to Box Office Mojo, it grossed just under 5 million worldwide and was shown on, well, it says here, while this release was 636 cinemas. So yeah, just under 5 million worldwide and around 7 out of 10. So what do we think? Like, I'll happily play my hand and say I think that's underseen and underrated.
I think that's definitely underrated. I was surprised that there was not an 8 among there. I thought at least we'd get maybe an 80 something from the audience, or maybe the critics would. I just think people don't get it.
It's a pretty.
I mean, I didn't really get it, but I know how it made me feel.
It's a pretty big catchment of people as well, because 111,000 people have reviewed it on IMDb.
Wow.
209 critics have reviewed it, and over 10,000 audience members have done it on Rotten Tomatoes. So that's a pretty big, amount of people giving it a rating, but they're all wrong.
I think so. That's really surprising. That is really surprising, because I don't know. I just don't know what sort of film they saw. Maybe it is the farting. It's something that not alienates people, but there's too much of it. I can see that there's too much of it, but as a fart lover, you embrace it rather than push it away.
Maybe people went into it thinking it was the 8th Harry Potter film. We're just like,
maybe
just children. So, are we all in agreement? Sliding on into the underrated, underseen vault.
Definitely.
In it goes to the vault. So, thank you very much for joining us, guys. Where can our listeners look out for your stuff? Tell us a little bit about. We've been on yours. You've been on ours. Yes. Tell us about yours.
Well, hang on. I'll just get the information.
Have you got the bits? Well, I'll say, we do the top 10 of anything podcast. So what we do is we take a subject, we grab some guests, and then we run down our top 10s. You were very kindly joined us for Movie Monsters.
Loved it.
Which was loads of fun.
Yeah.
And hopefully you'll come back again before Christmas. We'll have another one. We'll have another go.
Top 10 movie farts.
That could be quite
all from this film.
That would be amazing. But yeah, we've had 4.5 years of doing a relatively successful This Country podcast, which is now got one episode left as we're recording this, which will be our live show in November. So we jumped on and started a brand new podcast, and we're there now with the thousands of other new podcasts that started over the last sort of 18 months. And, it's nice. It's nice to be able to talk about literally anything rather than focusing on one sort of cult TV show. But it's loads of fun. So, and that's what it needs to be.
If anybody wants to join in, do please find us on any of the platforms, podcast platforms.
On the platforms.
So
yeah, Inception now with the poop.
Yeah, that's
and the farts.
And they can find us on Facebook and all the socials as well under Top 10 Pods. But it's a refreshing thing because it's like a clean canvas every time we come to do one. And we never know what we're going to do. And I try and rustle up facts, and that's sometimes proving quite hard to find facts over certain things. It's going back to the basics, isn't it, Pav? It's fun, but disheartening as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because, like, in the next sort of few weeks, we're running the gamut of things like what we got: movie vehicles, crisps, and Elvis songs. So they're the kind of things that we're doing.
What a night out.
It's not one kind of thing. What a night out. Can you imagine that? So it's like I say, it's a load of fun. It's a little bit daunting because we're starting right from the start again. So having to sort of push that big boulder up the hill and try and gain momentum with a new podcast. But like I say, it's a lot of fun. And as I've always said this right from the start of podcasting, you get to meet awesome people like yourselves.
Yay.
Thank you very much. And is that, did you say that's wherever, all podcast platforms?
Yep.
Indeed, even on YouTube, where on YouTube you get extra little photographs, which I spend my Sundays editing in. How painful that is, but that's what I spend my Sundays doing. So they're up on YouTube as well.
I hadn't really sort of quite considered actually the beauty of what it is that you're doing, because it can be anything. Like ours it's films, and it's always films, and you are quite restricted in that. And yours, because the running theme is the top 10, that can literally be anything, and that's quite exciting, isn't it?
It is. Well, the one, as we're recording this, the one that we're going to record tonight is the top 10 historical events you would visit if you had a time machine.
Say that again 5 times fast.
So it's that sort of thing. Again, you've got literally billions of years to be able to work out what you want to do. So it's all fun. It's all fun.
Well, do make sure you check that out, as the guys just said, wherever you get your podcasts, and do follow them on the social media as well. Neil and Pav, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much, guys.
That was loads of fun.
There we go. Another one added to the underrated and underseen collection in the old vault there. Do be sure to check out the guys' podcast and all the social medias. It's top 10 of anything, or top 10 pods on the social media. Really great guys. We love having it on. We love being on theirs. Hopefully it'll happen again. We shall see. Maybe we could pick something with less farting in, so you don't get so upset about the farting, Alice.
Oh, no, maybe I just need to get over it. Maybe this is another one of my weird fears that I need to get over.
So if you'd like to get in touch with us in the meantime, we'll have another episode for you next week, but the address is filmsandthatpod@gmail.com. We're on all the social medias. Just search for Just Films and That Pod. And the website is www.justfilmsandthatpod.com.
Well, throwing in a www. Haven't heard that in a while.
It stands for World Wide Web.
Wow.
I know. Technology, Alice. Anyway, we'll see you next week for another film. Alice, Oliver, thank you very much for joining me.
It was a pleasure as always, Josh, and thank you.
And it's goodbye from me. Cheerio.
Bye.